Welcome back. I didn't do a review last night because I didn't watch the game live. I was taking training. And I've watched it now. So I will do 5 things. And how is it better than we expected and still the worst possible scenario? How's that work? Anyway, that's what I felt it was. Anyway, let's get into the 5 things then. Number 1, blunt attack. That defence, some people in that defence that we'd identify would be sensational for United as well, i.e. Kim Min-jae, completely bullied our forward line. Do you know how many shots we had in our forward line? Garnacho had none, Hojlund had none, and Anthony had 1. Kim and Upamecano just dealt with Hojlund. He's still a kid with a lot of potential, but when they're dealing with Harry Kane in training week in, week out, that was a night off for them, I think. Davies was outstanding. Too quick, too sharp, just a real ball of energy and quality. Garnacho had a complete disaster of a game. He looked out of his depth, and someone commented on my preview, actually, because I put Rashford in. And my thinking behind putting Rashford in was that I think this is form with Marcus. And actually, it isn't like Garnacho's playing sensational. He's scored 2 sensational goals, but his overall performance is quite poor, I think, still. And that people are well within their rights to go, what, Marcus is any better? No, it's not. But Marcus is a big game player, and this sort of game and this sort of occasion, I would hope, drags out a performance from him. You're talking about 2 lorries driving up a hill. One might be going 1 mile an hour faster than the other, but everyone behind them's bored. That's what I feel like United are at the moment in the forward line, especially with the likes of Marcus and Garnacho. Which one are you going to go with? It almost doesn't matter. So I was hoping, drag some sort of a performance out of Marcus. He is a big game player. This sort of game could pull something out of him. Now, that wasn't the case. He wasn't even in the squad. But United were completely toothless going forward. Completely toothless. I think Bruno had the most shots. I mean, no shocks there, but we just didn't threaten them. We had all right passages of play. First half was a bit of a duke it out. But then, second half, Bayern just decided to go and win the game, didn't they? And to be fair, they didn't really get out of second gear to do it. Number 2, injuries. So Maguire and Shaw come off injured. We have pissed off the injury gods, haven't we, this year? My days. This squad just doesn't seem like it can get any level of fitness at the same time. Liverpool on the horizon. You've got a depleted back 4. Your captain suspended. I don't know how you pull a result out. I don't like this team under Erik ten Hag. My major criticism for him, which I think is entirely valid, is that this team has not been able to win a game off the back foot. It's plan A, or better luck next week. We've not had that ability to win an ugly game. We haven't had that ability to play on the back foot, to counter-attack, and go and snatch something despite being battered but keep a clean sheet. We just don't have that in us as a team. And I don't reckon you find it by Sunday either. I'm seeing all sorts of theories behind why these injuries are coming up. I don't know the answer. I honestly don't. And I think, as I said this yesterday for those who joined me on the live, I think it's fine to have theories, but because you're never going to do a closed clinical trial, you're never going to find the exact answer. You might find some mitigation, but you'll never know the answer. Some people are blaming the COVID vaccine, which I don't know if there's anything in that or not. My own thoughts on the whole COVID thing is the spike that we've seen of some of the heart issues. Well, that's because the disease affects the heart, and they have to give you some of the actual disease. So I think any correlation between heart issues and the COVID vaccine are because that was what COVID itself was attacking. It makes sense, right? and again, if you're getting your fucking medical advice off a football YouTuber, well, you fucked up a long time ago, so don't come up with that. And that's not medical advice. I can't believe I had to say that. But either way, like, is it a combination of COVID? Is it the World Cup being in December has just like completely thrown everyone's leagues out? Was it our prolonged pre-season, which was fucking mental? Is it the increased speed of the league? Like, you see a lot of people saying, oh, back in the 60s, we used to play the same amount of games. Okay, have you watched football from the 60s? I'd actually love... And I nearly got this done at one point, but I couldn't have got the kilometres covered because the camera angles doesn't show every player. I've got the full 90 minutes on the DVD. Oh, no, it's not even on the DVD. It's on a hard drive from the 1968 Cup final. Because I was going to do a sports code on it where you get all of the passing data, the tackle data, all that stuff. Because I was just really interested to see what the stats look like for a game, 55 years ago. Because my gut instinct tells me that it's a miles slower game. And that means it's a different... So, back then the tackles were reckless and harder in that sense, and the pitches were worse. But actually the pitches added to the speed of the game. You can't play a fast dribbling athletic game on a mud bath. So the game adapted to the conditions that it's found itself in. Now surfaces are almost artificial, they're that good. They are lush, green grass, no matter the season. And I wonder, does the impact of the speed that everything is happening at add to these sort of issues? For those who know any sprinters are forever injured. Forever pulling this or that or the other. My adductor's gone or my hip flexor's gone. It's always something. The reason, because they're fucking redlining that shit constantly. Constantly. And I always see soldiers brought into this conversation. Soldiers train every day and push their bodies to the absolute limit in a way that footballers don't, right? And that is true, especially on some of the arduous courses that you do. But those arduous courses are a test of endurance, and usually your mental endurance. They're not a test of your you're redlining, but in a different way. You're not going to be hitting your 21, 22 mile an hour sprints at any point in military service. You're just not. You're laden down with gear. You're more of a pack horse than a racehorse. And yes, it's hard, and yes, it's draining. But I think the speed and intensity of what's happening in elite sport, it's like Formula One cars. Formula One cars, if you had to look at their breakdowns per mile, the average Nissan Micra completely shits all over it. But it's built for a different purpose. Formula One cars, highly tuned, highly sensitive. You try and take a Formula One car, just in the average fucking car park, it's going to break. And I think there's an element of that with footballers. I think the game is so fast, and I think that they're tuned to a certain specific thing that resilience has almost come out of it. You couldn't ask a Formula One car to do something that a Land Rover Defender would do off-road, because it's tuned for a different thing. And I just think the muscle injuries that are coming in are because the game has selected, evolutionarily, the game has selected for speed and agility over resilience and toughness of late. I think that's possibly some sort of mitigation for it. Again, I haven't got the fucking answers. No one's got the answers. But it is a bit suspect that I think there's been more injuries this season than there was in the whole of last season already before Christmas. So it's not just Manchester United. You can't just look at United's sports science department and go, you lot of shit. Now, you might be able to do that. That might be a valid criticism of United's sports science department. But if every sports science department is doing the same thing, Tottenham, Newcastle, City to a greater or lesser degree, if every single science department is doing it, then this is something that's happening across England and potentially even across Europe. So I don't think it'd be fair to just point the finger at United for this, for once. Hello everyone, our sponsor Surfshark has partnered with us to bring you this video. Surfshark is a virtual private network, or a VPN, that safeguards your online identity by encrypting all the information exchanged between your device and the internet. That means your personal data is protected from cybercriminals and large companies, and Surfshark can change your IP address, giving you the ability to appear if you're in a different location around the world. Here's some of the ways that Surfshark can benefit you. Surfshark encrypts your online data and protects your personal information if you use a free public Wi-Fi, which is often a prime target for hackers. It can mask your IP address to keep your city, your country, and your download history private. And it doesn't monitor, track, or store what you do online. That means there is no connection or activity logs. Surfshark's clean web feature blocks ads, trackers, malware, and phishing attempts, allowing you to surf the web safely. You can also use one account on unlimited devices, including phones and laptops. If you're interested in Surfshark, get an exclusive deal. Please enter the code HOWSON, that's HOWSON, to get up to 6 additional months for free at surfshark.deals/Howson, or just check the link below. Additionally, Surfshark offers you a 30-day money-back guarantee, so there is zero risk in giving it a try. Number 3, no more Europe. So we are out of Europe completely, and I'm going to be honest, it's a positive not qualifying for the Europa League. This squad, I mean, let's just be honest with ourselves, this squad is completely unequipped to deal with 2 games a week. Having just 1 game a week now for the remainder, well, you have got 2 games a week coming up still, but essentially no European football means potentially like 11, 13 games less, maybe, if you went all the way to the final. And that's a positive, because this squad just can't cope. Clearly. Look at the number of injuries. We've got an entire squad missing. It feels like we should benefit from the extra rest and the extra training ground time, I hope. It's less opportunity for excuses, but maybe it allows us to put a bit more focus on what we need to do domestically. And it's crazy that this is where we're at as a fan base and as a club, and we have to find positives and some sort of solace in losing. But we do. And ultimately, this team is just not equipped for European competition at the moment. We need to, I said this yesterday, and probably for the last couple of days, it's high time we focus on performance. We might be getting results recently, but it's not on the back of performance, or on the back of like a little bit of individualism. And I don't think that's a long-term successful plan. Number 4, the McTominay project must come to an end, although given the availabilities this weekend, it won't come to an end until at least next week. It's very much the Fellaini syndrome. We are sacrificing our principles of play to fit someone in who is under the perception of effective. I think he seems like a kid with a lot of character. And he comes out and he says the right things, and I don't doubt that he's trying when he plays. I don't have that suspicion of he's just fucking tossing it off. I don't. But I also don't think he's got the requisite quality to be a permanent starter for Manchester United. And I also don't think it's a positive thing for Ten Hag to be playing him whilst trying to find a system or implement a system that is opposed to the way McTominay plays. His second touch is a tackle. His first touch makes you pull faces. He was completely non-existent against Bayern Munich. And midfield was going to be so important. You're playing a player for impact at the expense of control and technical ability in midfield. And that feels like a roll of the dice. And if I told you that my strategy for paying my rent was the fucking Grosvenor Casino, you'd pull me aside and say, Steve, do we need to have a conversation? But that's what it feels like United are trying to do at the moment. We're trying to pay the rent by playing blackjack. When actually getting a fucking job and being stable and all that sort of stuff would be a better strategy for us. And that's what we need to do. Playing Scott forced Bruno to play deeper, to accommodate him, And that took Bruno away from creating chances, which is the fucking only reason he's in the squad. That's why Bruno's on the pitch. He ain't on the pitch to win headers. He ain't on the pitch to make tackles. He's on the pitch because he is one of the most creative footballers in Europe. And you've moved him out of an effective area to play him out of position to accommodate an impact player that could go missing in games and has gone missing in games because he's a fucking roll of the dice player. Mainu has to play instead until the likes of Mount and Eriksen are back. Play good football, and that requires good technical footballers. Like, performance will improve when the players improve from a technical level. And, fuck me, 5, Liverpool. I fear the worst. We have been knocked down with 2 successive home defeats to 0. And now you got Anfield, which is one of the hardest places to go to in European football, therefore world football. I don't think a third defeat sees him fired, nor would I want a third defeat to see him fired. However, if it is a repeat of last year, even with the mitigation of we don't really have a fucking squad available, I think that the fans that are on the fence will jump off the fence onto the other side of the fence. We have struggled from a defensive point of view now. You've got a few days because, we played Tuesday and the game isn't till Sunday. You've got a few days on the training field. I would be working defensive shape. I might not even let the lads see a ball till fucking Saturday. And I'll just be talking positioning and mentality until we get it right. It don't matter how we're going to play with the ball because we're barely going to see it at Anfield on Sunday. You have to go into this. And it's sad that you have to go into this. And everyone who's about to comment saying, how have we spent $1 billion in the last 10 years and we're going to Anfield like this? Look, I'm with you. But do you want me to ignore reality and just say, why don't we just go and dominate the ball at Anfield and beat them 5-0? Because that is called delusion, my friend. United aren't going to do that. Let's be pragmatic and practical about this and say, right, can we not get beat 7-0 this time? I don't think this team's even capable of going and snatching a win. And I watched Crystal Palace put it on Liverpool this weekend. And I watched Luton put it on Liverpool most recently. But it's something about them fucks at home where they are fucking good. And you guarantee that they see the opportunity to kick United while we're down, they will be fucking taking it and a 25-yard Scholesy run-up for it as well. We're in the shit, lads. And Sunday will not be fun. At all. I don't see any way United win that game. And I hope I am wrong. Before I go, if you're into this sort of shit, I'm off out on a hike at the moment. Like right fucking now. Because I need to go in hills and forget about that sack of shite last night. But if you're into all that sort of stuff, I have another channel called House and IRL. I'll throw a link in the description to it if you want to go and check it out. There's a couple of videos on there already. There will be another video that drops before the end of this week, where I'm talking to ex-service dogs. And I think it's an interesting video, and it's a worthy cause. So go and check that out before the end of the week. Go and subscribe, hit the notification bell. But because this whole other channel is like a step away from what we're doing now, I'm actually going and trying to get my land-based survival instructor qualification. And to do that, I have to log a certain number of days doing survival type shit. I'm going to go put the stuff that's like potentially interesting for a couple of you, but certainly not like a YouTube video level of interesting. I'm going to put it on Patreon because we've got some apprentice editors and stuff like that in the studio. They need to practice on some edits. So I'm going to go take my GoPro and I'm going to go and just do a little bit of, hikey, campy, survival-y type shit today. I'm going to vlog it. And if you're interested in all that sort of stuff, it'll be going on the channel membership and also Patreon. So if you're into that sort of shit, then come and join those. And if not, well, fucking carry on with your day. See you in a bit. Hey, thank you for watching the video. If you are new around these parts, then don't forget to subscribe. My channel is proudly supported by my community on Patreon. If you'd like to get a little bit of extra content, a Discord group, meetups, five-a-side games, weekly podcasts, behind the scenes, and even an occasional bit of transfer news as and when I get it, then for the price of a pint, you can show your appreciation for the content that we make and get some goodies for doing so as well. Check the link in the description or click the button right here. You'll also find all of my socials here too if you want to follow me on any of those platforms. Nice one.